A full week and a well-lived week are not the same thing. And most of us, unfortunately, learn that the hard way. You probably had one of these weeks. It looked productive on paper, the boxes got checked, the calls happened, the list got worked. And yet something about it just felt a little off, a little scattered, like you ran the whole week, but you weren't actually in it. That isn't a planning failure, it's a design failure. A lot of people aren't bad at planning. They're living inside weeks that were never consciously designed. In the next few minutes, I'll walk you through a more intentional way to set up a week, one that protects what matters, makes room for energy and recovery, and survives contact with real life. This isn't a productivity system. It's a different relationship with time. So, what does it mean to design a week intentionally? Designing a week intentionally just means deciding what your week is for before it fills itself in. Most weeks get assembled by accident: meetings, requests, deadlines, errands, notifications. The week we end up living is rarely the week we'd choose if anyone had asked us at the beginning. A design week starts somewhere different. It begins with a short, honest question: what is this week actually for? That doesn't need to be poetic. It can be as plain as finishing a project, showing up well for one big relationship, protecting energy after a hard month, catching up on the things that have been quietly slipping. When you answer that, you're not optimizing your week, you're shaping it. There's a difference. Your calendar isn't just a logistics tool, it's a values document. What gets a real time slot is what you actually treat as important, regardless of what you say. So, designing a week intentionally means making sure the calendar tells the truth about what matters. So, why do most weeks get filled by urgency instead of intention? Because urgency is louder than intention, and it shows up first. The work email lands before the morning walk. The Slack thread interrupts before the focus block. Other people's deadlines arrive on your calendar before you've had a chance to put your own priorities there. If you don't decide what your week is for, urgency will absolutely decide it for you. And urgency is rarely aligned with what would actually make this season of your life feel meaningful. This is why so many weeks feel bad, even when they aren't actually too full. They're not overloaded, they're fragmented, reactive, and uninhabited. And once a week tips into reactive mode, it tends to stay there. You're answering, replying, handling, juggling, but you're not really inhabiting any of it. Intentional planning isn't about controlling everything. It's about getting in front of the noise just enough that the things that matter still get a real place. What should you decide before the week begins? So before the week starts, usually Sunday evening or whatever the quiet edge of your week looks like, give yourself 15 quiet minutes, not to plan everything, just to decide a few things. Try answering 5 short questions. What matters most this week? Where will my attention be the strongest? What needs protected time? Where is the recovery? And what would make this week feel inhabited, not just completed? That's it. 5 questions, not a system, a reset. From there, identify 2 to 4 things that genuinely matter for the week, not 20, 2 to 4. Anything more than that, and you're already lying to yourself. These might be a key piece of work, a person that you want to be present for, a decision that you owe someone, a non-negotiable like sleep or training or time outside. Then you do the most important step. Put those things on the calendar first before urgency fills the space. Because if you don't book your priorities, your week will book them for you, and it usually won't. So, how do you build a weekly rhythm that includes both effort and recovery? Here's something that's easy. A sustainable week isn't built around effort, it's built around rhythm. Effort without rhythm becomes burnout. Rhythm is what makes effort repeatable. A well-designed week includes both the effort and real recovery and treats both as actual commitments. So a few things that'll help. Cluster focused work where you can. If you have any control over your schedule, try to protect a few longer blocks instead of fragmenting attention all day. Attention is the real unit of time, hours are not. Plan around your energy where it's realistic. Some of us think clearer in the morning. Some come alive at night. Match your hardest work to your sharpest hours, even loosely, and schedule recovery on purpose. If recovery is the last thing on the list, it's the first thing that disappears. Put a real walk, a real break, a real evening off on the calendar like it counts, because it does. The margin between things. A week with no transition space starts to feel like a treadmill. Even 10 minutes between blocks lets the day breathe. And this matters. Make peace with empty space. Not every white square on the calendar is wasted. Sometimes empty space is exactly what keeps the week livable. What does an intentional week actually look like in practice? Well, let's make this concrete. Here's a simple way to walk through it. Step 1, look at the week before it starts. Open the calendar, look at what's already there. Notice what was scheduled by you and what was scheduled by other people. Just notice, no judgment yet. Step 2, name the 2 to 4 things that matter most. Write them down plainly. Finish the proposal. Be present at dinner Wednesday. Train 3 times. Call my parents. Plain language, real things. Step 3, place those priorities on the calendar. Real time, real blocks, before you reply to anything else this week. If they don't have a place, they don't really exist. Step 4, add the rest honestly. Now layer in the obligations, meetings, errands, life admin. As you do, ask yourself, is this realistic? Or am I writing a fantasy schedule again? Step 5, build in recovery and margin. Where is the rest? Where's the buffer? Where's the unstructured time? If they're missing, the week is already too heavy. A realistic plan is better than an aspirational one. Step 6, pressure test it. Look at the whole week and ask one question. Is this a week I can actually live? If the answer is no, something has to come off. Not get smaller, come off. That's the walkthrough. Not a system, a weekly reset. So how do you adjust when real life disrupts the plan? It will. A kid gets sick, a meeting blows up, a deadline shifts, energy crashes, something hard happens. Real life isn't a planning failure. It's the reason the plan exists in the first place. When the week gets disrupted, don't scrap the whole design, adjust it. Ask yourself 3 questions. What still matters most given what just happened? What can move? And what needs to come off entirely? Sometimes the most intentional move of the week is removing things, not adding them. A week with fewer items done with presence almost always beats a week stuffed with everything done in a blur. Good week design includes adjustment, not perfection. Rhythm matters more than intensity. You're building something repeatable, not heroic. Here's the quiet truth this whole walkthrough sits on. A well-designed week isn't the fullest week. It's the week that gives the right things a real place before urgency takes over. You don't need a more elaborate planner. You don't need a productivity overhaul. You need a week that reflects who you actually are and what actually matters this season of your life. That's the goal. Not control, not performance, just a more intentional default.